The Different Show. The Different Show. The Different Show. The Different Show.
Hello and welcome to our 7th episode of The Different Show, a brand new podcast celebrating the positive, creative aspects of neurodiversity. I'm Gina, and at various stages of my life I've been a professional singer, performer, parent, college lecturer and theatre director. I was 58 when I was diagnosed with autistic spectrum condition, and it answered a lot of my questions. This month we'll be chatting to Catia, our resident psychologist, about her intriguing new project, Let Your Roots Grow. She'll also be telling the story of how and why she built her rainbow house. Music this week comes from Kamara with their song about how successful long-term relationships are definitely possible for neurodiverse people. But first, John talks to Dan Gaze about his inspiring journey, his dyslexia, prison and his mission to support young people.
The Different Show.
So Dan, welcome to The Different Show. You're a successful entrepreneur. You've got your own business. You've just been awarded the Pride of Stevenage Award. Is that where you're from, Stevenage?
Well, I was born in Hitchin, but I lived in Stevenage for most of my life.
Here you are. How old are you now?
I'm 38. I had to think about that one.
38. Good age to be, 38. And you've done all this stuff. You've become a success. But from what you say, it's not been easy for you.
No, it wasn't. If I look back now and know what I understand now, I was trying to communicate that I needed help, and I was trying to communicate that my needs weren't being met at home, and that so I needed support at school and I need support everywhere. But I did that by fighting and swearing and just disruptive behaviour that I suppose back then, you can't have a go at the teachers, but back then they didn't really understand, and I was just categorised as a naughty boy who was missing chunks of his learning, and that no one really, they did try and help me. That's a lie, actually. They did try and help me, but they didn't understand me. It's probably the right word.
No. So what was it you were struggling with specifically?
I think everything, really. I suppose if I look, I never used to have breakfast. This is a key thing. Someone like Marcus Rashford talks about food, and I can really, really sort of understand what he's saying about how important food is and that sort of part. So I never used to have breakfast. Didn't really used to. I mean, my main meal was a school dinner, for example, which was a free school dinner. Yeah. And that wasn't my mum's fault. She was sort of on the bread line trying to earn as much money as she could, and just them needs weren't being met. So I believe that was one of my reasons. My granddad, he was a great guy, helped bring me up. He used to sometimes pick me up in the mornings and get me a Mars bar, from the shop, and then go to school. But I just think that was sort of part of why my behaviour was coming out. I think also not having a dad, so not having a dad in life was another thing. And then obviously later on down the line, finding out dyslexia. So they used to send me to work with the caretaker, or they used to send me down to look after the kids in reception because they just didn't want me in the class. So learning from year 5, year 6, well, year 4, year 5, year 6. Anyway, so it was very, very difficult to try and get that back. And when you haven't got the right support network at home either, you miss so much, and life just becomes very confused, and and out comes behaviour.
You can see that. And what sort of situation were you in with your behaviour? Were you hanging around with your mates? Were you doing all sorts of stuff?
I suppose in the younger days, so I'm talking sort of how the age of my son now, who completely opposite to me. 6, 7, 8 and 9, I was sort of, we lived in a council flat above garages in Stevenage, a place called Ripon Road. And, it was a very hard time. My nan lived around the corner, my nan and granddad, like I said, and they used to help a lot. Give me dinners at night. But I suppose, I did hang around the streets, and and I always look for I suppose attention was my key, for attention as well from people, and wanted to be accepted, and that was a struggle as well. yeah, looking back, that's how I feel my life has been. Cry out, cry out, cry. And that's why what I'm doing now, as we're going to later, I feel so important for these young people.
Absolutely, yeah, because it wasn't there then. I mean, you're only talking the 80s, aren't we? 90s.
Yeah, 83 to sort of 94, 98, I was in school, sorry.
Yeah, and that it just wasn't there. And the support for kids who had dyslexia, ADHD especially, the support wasn't there. They were just naughty kids, and they were.
I mean, that's really changed recently, because when I first went to work in my school in Watford in 2007, they were still seen as naughty kids, and their outcome. People used to say, which and not the head, because he was fantastic, but some of the staff used to, these are only going to end up in prison or on the dole. And I used to really make me angry, because in my eyes, every child matters, and they just need support and help. And we broke statistics at that school, because some kids went to uni and some kids went on to sixth forms and on to have successful businesses and do well. You know, and it used to really frustrate me when staff used to be like, they'll end up in prison on the dole, because that's what staff used to do to me. And I did end up in prison, I'll be honest with you.
God.
But they told me I wouldn't be a success.
What were you like as a teenager then?
Lost is probably the right word. Sort of looking for any form of love or attention, whether it be through girls, whether it be through older siblings and friends, just a bit lost really. We had social services a little bit involved, so my partner, she fell pregnant with my brother, and I was pushed to the side, went to live with my granddad, and then I was brought back to the family home, and I sort of wasn't allowed to see my brother when he was born, and it was all and then it all become quite an emotional game, you know, around me. Like, they wouldn't put food in the fridge if I was on half term, and locked the house, and in the cold wouldn't give me a key, so my mum would leave the window open so I could get in, because I felt she was quite controlled in her relationship. And then my partner would want to call the police because I've broken in the house, even though I've just gone through the window of my own house. And this is like going through from 11 to 16. You know, as soon as I started, you know, I was told that as soon as I moved in the house, when you're 16, you're out of this house. That's it. You know, you're nothing to do with me by him. Jesus. And I just felt like it was just an emotional roller coaster all the time, which then led me to get into boxing a little bit, and then led me to then go and work the doors at such a young age, at 16 and a half. Which, really, you know, as you know, legal age, you have to be 18. Get a drink and work nightclubs or be a bodyguard.
Oh, wow. So that amount of rejection at that age must have had its effect upon you, really. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it sounds really crazy. I suppose you grow up in different stages and you try and find yourself. I can really say I've found myself now. But it's taken a long time with a lot of, I would say, trauma and a lot of bad experiences and good experiences along the way, and a lot of support from some great people as well, that have tried to help me or stood by me at certain times in your life.
When did things start to change for you? I mean, you're working on the doors now, so you're obviously coming into conflict with people. That's another thing. Did you have any problems with that, with your emotions and anger and things?
Sometimes, I wasn't a nasty guy, though, I'll be honest with you.
You were the good guy.
I tried to be a bit firm and fair, and you know, and sort of try and work with people. But, you know, sometimes I'll be honest with you, you know, I was working in London at the time, you know, there's people with alcohol, you know, they start throwing punches at you. You have to get them out of the club. I can have my heart say I've never punched anyone. I never, on the door ever. I was always professional.
It's not an easy job. It's not a job people understand. I don't think.
It's harder now. It's harder now, I would say. You know, and then at the time, obviously, I didn't have a license, so I shouldn't have been working. and then, you know, I got a license just before I went to prison, which the offence wasn't on the door. And then obviously I went to prison, and then I come back and can continue to work that door. And it was really strange because the SIA then come in, which was the Security Industry Association, I think it's called. And they said, you know, you can't have your badge. And then the sergeant at the time was like, I know you, Dan, and I know you're a great guy, but we've got to say no. And in the end, I got it. It was really, really strange. But it just wasn't a path for me anymore. You know, and I wasn't really like it. But it was interesting. When I went to prison, I there was people I'd thrown out the club the weekend before in the room.
Give over.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
Oh, wow.
And they were looking at me like, where do we know you from? But to be fair, they were fine with me.
Yeah, but you can handle yourself.
I'm a soft bear, I'll be honest with you. I'm a nice guy.
The majority of people have got this idea of what prison's like, and it's nothing like what people think it is it? It's not.
Prison.
How did you experience it?
I think prison is a place which is very misunderstood. I think prison got a lot of mental health in there.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of people that have just, and it sounds crazy, but following the pattern. So expelled from school, broken family, you know, and that's how I felt. It was like a pattern, and the only bit of stability they have is prison, so they bounce in and out. Inside there, especially at your sort of YOI level, which is 18 to 21, it's before you go to, they call it man's prison. Difficult, very, very difficult. You know, young people, you have people in there that, you know, are on serious sentences, you know, and I'm not saying they haven't done the crime, but there's no support around them. They're struggling with, you know, things. You know, I see people trying to hang themselves, eating their own feces, you know, and cutting their wrists, and just they think their life's over. You know, their girlfriend dumping them when they're in there. You know, they've got families and children. And we forget all this. Everyone hates each other. There's jealousy. There's people that sort of like gun at you, try and get a reaction. They don't like it if you're doing well. I used to get about 5 letters a day, which was really nice. Some people didn't get any. So what they would do is would target you and try and get a rise out of you, or try and say things to you. So you got a rise. They got a rise. I tried not to rise to it. I just wanted to get home.
So, I mean, did you get any support in prison at all?
No, not really. I used to go to church, actually. I found that quite simple. But I there was no actual real support. When you went in, it was like, I ain't gonna lie, I cried the first night I was in there on my own. Just cried, went to bed at like 2:00 in the afternoon, slept all the way. I wasn't allowed a cellmate for the. So in the first one, I went to a Cat A prison. That's where they assess you. Had a cell there, and then they shot me up to Onley. With no electricity in your cell and stuff like that. No, nothing, just a toilet and your bed. And it was like an army camp. You make your bed a certain way. If you don't, you're told off. But I mean, they met me. They said, "Oh, you're a big guy," you know. So I said, "I want to keep my head down." I said, "Well, we can't put you on these because you're a big guy. And if you get violent," I said, "I'm not going to be getting violent." And there was like this big thing around me that I was a violent guy. I was in for ABH, so my first ever offence that I had. I'm also, it sounds terrible this, but I'm sort of glad it happened. Like, you know, it sounds crazy.
No.
And also it's, you know, I could have killed that guy that night, and I was on a self-destruct mission. You know, I was at the stage in my life where I was either going to get killed or kill someone. I'll be honest with you, because my life was in a very spiraled situation. I was on a pedestal I should never have been on at 17, 18, you know, thinking gangster, turning up with, you know, sort of celebrities, walking into nightclubs, and they'd open the door, table for free and drink for free after work. You know, it was a real, you know, something that should never have happened to me.
So when did things start to change?
I suppose when I went to prison, it was the day the doors shut on me. I realized that, like, I mean, life was so different in there. Like I said to you, they sort of told us when we could shower. I mean, I'd go a week and a half without shower sometimes.
Wow.
You know, so you talk again, it was like going backwards again, like your needs weren't being met again. I come home in August of 2002, so I got 18 months and I did 7. I come home on a tag. That got hard work as well, because I got tagged to my mum's because I couldn't go to my nan's. Only allowed out until 6, I think, on the night. Right, 7 till 6. So only in the day. I had a partner at the time, and she was very supportive, and she supported me through the whole journey. And then I just needed to get away, I felt, from my hometown. It was just so much judgment. It felt, I don't think it was, in Stevenage, and I just wanted a new life. And my friend offered me a job in London. So I went up there, and I sort of just found myself in a strange way. And the one thing I said when I come out of prison was I wanted to help young people not go down this pathway I've gone down. And I can still see them roads happening now, which is so frustrating. But if we can stop and help, it's a really good thing, you know. But no one would let me anywhere near a young person, because obviously I was on a licence. I managed to get talking to a lady at Hillingdon Council called Laura, who was fantastic. She was like a youth worker, or in charge of the youth, a really great lady. And I basically said to her, you know, I'd really like to do some youth work. And she took a sort of punt on me. And and she let me come down, and I started coaching some young offenders around Hayes and Harlington, and I loved it. And I was just like, oh, well, have you got any more work? I love it. At the time, I was still working in the bar. Nothing really come of it, and I was loving it. I just wanted to do it. And then an old friend of mine said to me, oh, I've set up his friends have set up a youth provision in Stevenage.
Yeah.
And he said, would you like to come and work here? And I said, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So I worked there, moved back to my nan and granddad's. That's my safe home.
Yeah.
And stayed there for a little while, and then got myself working with young people that had all been kicked out of schools, ADHD and all that. They were really good young people. They just needed some structure, probably a bit like me, John. And so anyway, I'd done some work with them, and I headed up their sports project because I love sport, and I feel that that was a begin with young people. And they were barred. This is how bad it was. They were barred from everywhere in Stevenage. So the leisure centre, the gyms, everything. Again, I hope this doesn't come across arrogant, but then I got them all unbarred. I mean, there was some great staff there, and one of them called Jenny Warren, who I speak about quite highly. She was the one who gave me the push to leave that place at the time. Yeah. And it's to me, Dan, there's a job here as a sports teaching assistant. Why don't you take it in Watford? I said, they're not going to take me. She goes, well, I'm going to apply for you anyway. One of my mum's friends, because of my dyslexia, helped me actually apply for the job. I got interviewed, and they offered me the job on the spot. I went and worked there. I worked with a guy called Kevin Jones, a great head of PE. And then I suppose my career just progressed, and I had a little son at the time as well. And I trained to be a teacher. Quite difficult because I had to redo my GCSEs again. Yeah, it was really, really hard. And I didn't know about these voice detectors you could use now, and Dragon and stuff like this. But I did my GCSEs. I failed a couple of times, but then I managed to get over the hurdle with some support. Kevin Jones, head of PE, would stay some nights and just try and help me with my maths one, which for some reason I struggled with. And the English one I flew through, which is crazy because so I trained to be a teacher. And I was doing an online course whilst working, and the company went bust. So I tried another company, and then in that time, the head, Mark Williamson, left, and they brought in a new guy, Jonathan Kemp, who again was fantastic to me. And they basically told us that, we're a rubbish school and we're in special measures. You know what? It was probably, again, one of the best things that happened to me. Yeah. I grow and learn everything and soak it up like a sponge. At that time, though, still, it's really, really strange. It had still a bit of hate towards me. There was a few staff that didn't like me. And then I got put up for a Heartsmere Award. So one of my colleagues, Luke Hillard, he put me up for a Heartsmere Award, the Paul Pierce Award in 2013. And I got second place in that, which was really nice. I had a group of autistic young boys that I worked with. One of them corrected my spelling, and then we just sat getting to know each other for a PE lesson once, social skills and stuff like that. So key to me, and I learned so much from them boys, and they went on to uni and stuff like that. But I remember I'd become their form tutor in year 10, and it was just a pleasure to be around them. And to the point of that, for our trip, we used to get a £50 form trip every year. And I said, right, guys, do you mind if I plan it? Because they didn't know where they were to go. And I took them to London, to Carnaby Street. They absolutely loved it.
So you're happy with your life now, do you think?
Yeah, happy. Always happy. I think there's always red tape or hate, should I say, and I try not to let that get to me. I remember when I become assistant head of one of my schools in the staff room, I won't exactly tell you what they said because I don't like to swear, but the staff says, how can he be assistant head? He can't even read and write. And there was quite a conversation about it for about 3 or 4 or 5 different staff, I've obviously got over, but it makes you think about people and how they are, doesn't it? I feel like I'm making changes. I'm very passionate about what I do. I've started training a guy called Kev, who has, come on board and working as well, doing really, really well. I've got a football project I designed, which was, get off the street and use your feet initiative for young people. I just want to do everything I can to help young people of today. I feel they've gone through, I feel COVID's been their world war. No, without a doubt. I mean, I feel that my life experience is quite a mixed one, but it's there. And when I tell some of the young people about my life, they're like, oh my God, and then I have a YouTube video on my YouTube channel, which some of them watch, about my life. When I actually explained it to my son, because his school says you think you should tell him because the papers are picked up on it and stuff. So I spoke to my son, and he got upset. And he wasn't upset because of what I'd done. He was upset that I'd gone through that, which was quite interesting. But I managed to talk to him about things and, understand his life now and try and say this is why we do what we do with you.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
No problem.
Good luck with everything. Congratulations on your award, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're a fantastic guy. Thank you for coming on The Different Show.
Thank you for your time, mate. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
The Different Show.
We met up with Catia, still virtually at the moment, this week to talk about her new project, Let Your Roots Grow, and to get the story of her amazing rainbow house.
The Different Show.
Right. Hiya, Catia.
I got it.
I've been dying to ask you about your Roots project. So what is it? Let Your Roots Grow?
Yeah, it started as me letting my hair grow, but because obviously I was tired of just dying at the front and not and I wanted to try something new, because you sometimes don't know exactly what's underneath. You just keep doing something, and you don't even know if they are your true colors or the true colors at the time. So the more I let my roots grow, the more I thought about how about me? How about things that I do today? Where did they come from? Did they come from my mom? Did they come from my dad? Did they come from my grandmother? Do I do them because someone is expecting me to do it? Am I like this because of I want to do it, or because I want to please others? So it was a little bit like that. It's like an example. I used to always say that I wanted a Porsche Carrera 911 with a massive spoiler. Even my children know, cherry burst color, which is the name of the color also of a guitar. And I always say, and then I realized that actually I don't bloody want a Porsche. I actually want.
I'm just going to say they're a bit out of date now, aren't they? They're a bit out of date.
And I want something more comfortable with more space, because I carry so much paraphernalia. I kind of, I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this, and take this. And I hate the fact that you don't have enough space, and you're there like doing, like a kind of a puzzle, almost like Tetris. You take something and then you put it back again, and then and I do it really well. Like when we went camping this year with the kids in the van, it was me always packing the van, because I was like,
strategic.
Exactly where to go. Yeah. Spatial awareness is crap. I can't. I'm crap at spatial awareness, but packing a car, I'm in it. You know what I mean? But so one of the things I was thinking is like little stuff that you say, oh, I love this food, or I love doing this, or I love. So do I really love it? Do I really not like it? What is it? Letting my roots grow was more about just see exactly what is you. What really do you want to do, and who are you pleasing here? So I kind of, like jobs that we do when we carry on going to a job that we not quite like, or being friends with someone that sometimes you're listening to them and then you just think, why the fuck am I friends with you? And then you just I have very limited amount of time, and yet I am giving that time to you. Why? And at the same time, there's sometimes that we have people in our lives because they were, their family, and we feel like obliged to do it. But I don't even have family. And the family that I have in Portugal, they're not in touch with me, and I'm not in touch with them. And it's like not even the blood connects us, because we're just so out of each other's lives. And for example, but I do know that my brother that lives in Germany, every so often I send him a message, hi, how are you? And he's there, but obviously when you need something, you don't go to someone far away. You have your own people around.
Does it burn you up a little bit with you, not being in contact with your family? Does it sometimes burn you up a bit?
Yes, but it was a choice. You see, when you leave home at 16, people learn to live without you, and people go on through loads of things in life. So all my life, I wanted a puppy. And all my life I was told, you're never going to manage. You're never going to do. That's why I never had puppies. I never had dogs. I only had cats. And then I just thought, who keeps saying that I'll be crap at this or I'll be crap at that?
You're joking.
And then I just thought, and then I just thought,
autistics love looking after dogs.
So I want to see if I can register as a therapy dog.
Oh yeah.
And then we can take her to places, and she'll become part of our lovely little group. I think the Rainbow House was a junction of two things. Was
about the Rainbow House.
Was of wanting a place that was mine, as in a place that I could just go and just spend my little time out from the kids, from the house, from where I could escape a bit. It didn't kind of work. I didn't manage to get any electricity in there, but it's okay actually, because it just has to be a little bit more like with speakers, Bluetooth things, or the lantern candles, or those little pull things. But the Rainbow House the point was about reuptake of old things. So I wanted to be able to build something, mostly 90% from things that people threw away. So I used to have a shed, kind of a Wendy house when we moved in here, and the family that was here, they already had it for like 20 years, they said.
Oh wow.
So by the time, so it's about 30 years the little Wendy house. So what I did is that I reused some of it, made it small, got boards that people, went around skips, that people would throw things. I would knock on the door and I would collect stuff like wood or panels.
Wow.
Loads and loads of boards. Went to imagine they have loads of stones and the stuff that they have broken, they can't sell it. So I went and said, can I take this off your hands? And by all means. The thing is, I am cheeky. I would go and I would be driving to go and see my friend, and there was a skip outside this very nice house. I would go back, knock on the door, say, do you know that big plyboard you have over there? And they're like, yes. Would you like me to put it away for you?
Well, at least you asked.
Then I used to say, the other thing I did is that I went to for the tiling, and because I did all the mosaic and everything inside with a friend of mine inside. And I thought buying tiles are very expensive, especially those glass ones that I wanted. So I went up to the local tile company and I said, do you have any broken ones? Because this is what I want to do. And then the lady said, which was a lovely lady, actually, she was the mum of the lady that owns the place. She said, oh, I don't, but we do have the samples. But the samples from last year are no longer this year. So we're due to get new samples every year. So then she said, oh, you can just take some of those and come and collect more, and I'll get my daughter to get some more, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So then I got a bunch of them. Some of them are really cookie, some are like a proper glass, expensive ones.
Wow.
Some of them are marble. So it's all together there.
Wow, marble tiles.
And then I got given. So, and I don't know if you remember, but in the last 18 months, because of the lockdown, but about 2 years ago, started around here. I don't know if it started where you guys have, but like Facebook groups where you can put your stuff for free and people can come and pick it up. It's a recycle sort of stuff. So I there was about 5 or 6 groups around here. So I collected loads and loads of things. Wow, stools, walls, mirrors, anything. And like for example, bubble wrap, and newspapers and cardboard. So I put a layer of how do you call it, of wood, and then in between I put loads of bubble wrap or cardboard or whatever, and then another one. Wow. So I was using I went to get this guy had a box, like a big massive box with all old nails and screws and stuff. So I went and collected. So then autistic was there for about 4 hours separating the bastards, you know what I mean, size and whatever. And then I used most of them and then I would, the only thing that I needed more help with was the doors. I could not get the doors done. So I was getting people so I had to get this guy, a carpenter, I think, I don't know, he just helped me get the doors using the doors that I already had. Yeah. But ideally, I wanted ones that would be slidey, you know what I mean? But that was going to be really expensive, or concertina ones. Yeah. And I couldn't find, eventually they appeared later on the give sites, but it was too late. So basically, I used the old ones and then just built it from there. Yeah. So instead of getting doors to fit, I put the doors first and then got the rest of the stuff to fit it, because I didn't have, so it was basic. And then obviously so when the people would come and do it, I would say to them, look, I can't pay you much for it because I don't have money. It was like trying to finish something without. So I'll do something for you. Like if you come at the end, I'll make you a cake, or I will make a coffee. Or it was just like something like, was this guy that came and he brought his 2 children. So I looked after his 2 children, and whilst it just, I don't know, sorted the roof for me and whatever. And then I gave him, I think I only gave him like £20 or something, but that was the point. Yeah. What I was trying to do is make something with very little amount and reuse a lot of shit that people throw away. It was painted all by paints that people gave away. Wow. Some of the stuff that are there, like the decoration stuff, most people gave me, was all mostly given. Little plaques saying, those lovely sayings, or bottles that have lights inside, or dangly things for light, all those things. And some of them were broken, some of them I painted them. The only thing I bought probably new was sometimes a specific board. Yeah. If you needed some wood or something, it was a specific size. Yeah. And the grass that I put inside, the fake grass, was on sale for £40, a little offcut. And I managed to get it for my £25 because I again cried for it.
Yeah, because it's not cheap, that stuff, is it? No. The thing is, it's inspirational, that, because it's what we're supposed to be doing now anyway, isn't it? But to actually be able to spend all that time collecting and collating everything you need for your rainbow house, and you've hardly spent anything, it's brilliant. To produce something out of nothing, it's fabulous.
It's absolutely brilliant. How long did it take you?
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
4 years. Yeah. 4.5 years. Yeah. And then it was also an element of when I started it, I was in a very different place emotionally, and I had a kind of a connection with someone that then just told me that you'll never finish this. You'll never. And then towards the end, it was like, I am going to finish this. So with the lockdown, it was an opportunity to spend more time there. But then I got children, I got the kids to paint it, because it's all multicolored inside. The kids could just paint whatever they wanted. You know what I mean? There was no right or wrong. Can we put yellow here? Yeah, put yellow there. Can we do this? Yeah.
Well, that's that's the artistic signature, isn't it? Of your family. Yeah, you'll never find that anywhere else. It'll be unique.
The Different Show.
The Best Years of Our Lives is a song about John and myself. We've been together 33 years. We've been married for 26 coming up. We were determined to write a song about our story because it really has been adventurous and eventful. Not all good, but a lot of good.
The Different Show.
When we first started, the
That's how we get along. We spent the best years of our lives together. 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 Spent the best years of our lives together. 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 We've climbed out lonely mountains. We've had to face our darkest fears. We've had our share of losing. We've had our fill of tears. Even on our hardest journeys through dangerous and foreign lands, we had the things that matter. We had each other's hands, and nothing's changed. We're still the same. Our hearts are still together, for now and forever. We spent the best years of our lives together. 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 The best years of our lives together.
That's it for this episode of The Different Show. We hope you enjoyed it and would like to thank our guests, Dan Gaze and Catia. We'll be back in December with episode 8, when we'll be talking to more amazing people. More details about the podcast can be found on our website, www.squarecircletheatre.co.uk. We'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas for future shows, or you would like to be a guest. Please contact John on thedifferentshow@gmail.com or message us on one of our social media pages. The Different Show is supported by Square Circle Theatre and the National Lottery Community Fund. Thank you for listening.
The Different Show. The Different Show. The Different Show. The Different Show.